Hello, everybody. Another episode about the movies with William Fletcher. As per usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and I am joined again by Mr. Harry Jobson.
I'm here. Yeah, I every time like when you're giving that intro speech, I think, what will I say this time to like represent that I'm here? And it always just comes out as I'm here because I can't think of anything quick enough. But yes, I'm back. Yeah.
This week we're going to be talking about Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, because Pixar have a new film coming out in a couple of weeks called Elio. There's no real justification as to why I chose these films beyond I just thought, what's a Pixar film that I could be bothered to watch again? And I is like beloved.
Do you think
it's sort of one of the bigger Pixar films?
Oh, it is. It's from what I call their golden era, and we'll get into that. But I think maybe Elio, at least from what I've seen, which was like a trailer at the movies, would have been closer tied to maybe something like Coco, where it's sort of just like a story about a boy.
Yeah, I did consider doing Luca, maybe, but I didn't.
Yeah, Luca as well.
Yeah.
Well, no, because Finding Nemo is better.
We've talked about before, Harry, you were not as much of a Pixar kid as I was from...
No, yeah, I like that. And the reason I said sort of golden era just before is because I did watch the golden era films. I have a deep, deep love for The Incredibles 1, The Incredibles 1, Monsters Inc., and I like Monsters University as well. That's a little like slide in there. I think that was like their last good one. Ratatouille, Cars. I love Cars. Toy Story. I always thought Toy Story was overrated, but like that's not to say it's not good. I just don't think it's the best one. I liked A Bug's Life. Like I watched all of those a lot growing up, as you do as a kid's film. But I always liked DreamWorks. DreamWorks is like they just had better like trilogies. They had better worlds. I think Pixar probably would beat them out on the standalone films, but DreamWorks also built a lot of films that I can still watch now and go, they hold up. They're like phenomenally well. And yeah, I think that's what I mentioned last time we spoke about it as well, that I sort of thought DreamWorks was just a bit, whether it's the comedy style, the sort of satirical comedy of like Shrek 2 when he's getting pepper grinded in the eyes, or like Puss in Boots has catnip on him and stuff. Like that's hilarious. Like the Cops parody, everything like that in The Far, Far Away, how it's just LA. Like that was, it was funny as a kid, but it's a lot funnier now. And I don't think Pixar has as much of that.
Yeah, I've been told by both of my older sisters that I apparently watch this film like all the time, and of course, I have apparently watched it shitloads of times. It's probably, I would say, if I was to just guess, it is probably a film I've watched, one of the films I've watched the most, just based on what I've been told. But I can't put like a number on how many times I would have seen it because I obviously don't remember. But I definitely, it's a film I've definitely seen a lot of times. And so I rewatched it. I do still like it. It's interesting to me that it's sort of held up as one of the all-time great Pixar films. I don't think it's like it's good. Like it's good. It's not one of their bad. It's just sort of surprising to me that it's considered the best film that they ever made.
The pinnacle.
Yeah.
Like it's in conversation as their best film for a lot of people.
It's in a lot of people. For a lot of people, yeah. I'm just looking here. It's number 156 on IMDb's top 250 of all time, which is very high. And like just for comparison, in terms of other Pixar films, it's above Inside Out. It's above Ratatouille, Monsters Inc., Incredible, films that are on the top 250 as well, but are below Finding Nemo, which is interesting that because like it's good. The only Pixar films above it on the list are Up, which I think is fair enough. Toy Story 3. Toy Story, the first one. Coco. And WALL-E, I think, is the highest rated one, which I'm very surprised about. I mean, I think WALL-E's great, but did not expect WALL-E to be the highest rated Pixar film on IMDb.
What would you think it would have been?
Up. I feel like a lot of people really love Up. And I think Toy Story as well would be really high up there for as well. But I mean, I think WALL-E's a very, very good film.
Yeah, you're going to get a bit of content out of me this episode, William, because I have some pretty, unsavory opinions about... Up sucks. Up sucks. Up sucks. And, I don't know if I've told you that, but a lot of my friends know that. It's a bit of a...
I don't think...
Kind of like a weird thing.
I would have remembered if you had told me. Why don't you... I'm interested, because
I don't. It just never clicked.
I've think it's
a lot.
I will concede it's overrated. Like the opening, montage, that's a great scene. The rest of the film is just not as good as that.
I don't think it's top 10 Pixar films, let alone top 250 films ever. My thing about it, and and that's why it's an opinion, because it's a personal belief. I never watched it on my own. I've never gone, let me put on a Pixar movie, let me put on Up. Every time I'd seen it, it'd be like a rainy day at school or something like that. One of my siblings had it.
Yeah.
And every time, for me, and my biggest negative has always been, it feels like it's so it feels like it's trying to make you sad, but it's cheaply doing it. You don't get the people that cry at that montage at Ellie, she exists for 4 minutes of screen time. Which I understand is not a huge thing, and it's this old man that was in love with his wife, and that happens and he's getting moved out, and I get that it's a compelling story, but it feels like Disney trying to make you cry. It doesn't feel like there's a reason. South Park has a really so Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and I know this is going to sound unrelated, but they once gave a talk to a bunch of students about story writing. And the way South Park does this, which is a way a lot of people do it, is you never say and then. Never say and then. It's always therefore or because, but never and then. If you do and then you end up with sort of a chaotic mess of a story that has no real sort of purpose. But I think Up follows the and then trajectory. The entire story arc of the old salty guy that used to be his hero is so shoed in and forgettable, and they're going to a blimp or some shit. I'm sorry for, I just don't. It stresses me out, the whole film. I just, when I watch it, I feel, and I'm not hard. I'll get sad at ads or songs. I'm not a guy who withholds emotion. I can cry at a movie. I can cry at a television series. I'll cry at a TV series. I'll cry at a moment in a TV series when I've seen that TV series 5 times in a year. We talked about the other episode with How I Met Your Mother. Not the episode on How I Met Your Mother, but How Many. It'll get me every time, no matter what. Same with songs and music and Yondu in Guardians 2. Oh, baby. But those things. But Up, I don't know. In the words of Dennis Reynolds, it's just not getting me. It's not getting me. I'm in a similar to my critique of Barbie. It just feels like a giant corporation trying to invoke an emotion by saying, "Oh, but this little kid, why? But why? There's no why." Oh, because he kind of doesn't have a father figure that they don't ever really discuss, but then they show him putting a pin on him at the end of the movie and sharing an ice cream, so it's all sweet. I just really struggle with the emotional beats that it's trying to hit, and I understand that's only one aspect of the film, but that's the entire aspect of the film. It's the entire driving plot, is that it's supposed to be an emotional story. WALL-E gets me. WALL-E will get me every time. I love WALL-E.
Yeah, WALL-E is
but I just
very
never
good.
got
Yeah,
Up.
WALL-E's
And to just also one of the ones that you sort of mentioned there, Inside Out does get me, but I don't think it's above a lot of other Pixar films. I think it's alright. I do really like it, but I don't think it's. I don't know where it is actually on the list, but I really don't think it's above, Monsters Inc., Incredibles, any of those sort of stories. And I don't think it's above Finding Nemo, because I think you and I disagree. I do think it's up there with sort of the pinnacle of Pixar, but maybe that's me trying to be a sort of a purist of what I like about Pixar. But to me, it's grounded stories with unconventional characters. When Pixar started sort of doing human protagonists and human stories, well, they didn't. They went human protagonists with just bonkers concepts, like a guy tying balloons to his house. How'd they fit all out the chimney without popping? But anyway, like with Pixar, you don't question that because like you have talking fish. I think that's the point. It's like it's saying something in an unconventional medium, whether it's fish from they live in the Great Barrier Reef, right? Like that's canon.
Yeah,
I think that's in yeah. But like it's same with A Bug's Life, same with A Toy Story, same with Monsters Inc. and The Incredibles, which yes, you could say are human, but they're like superhuman. So I don't really,
yeah,
you know what I mean. But it's really just sort of about a man's struggle of being sort of discarded by society after once being regarded a hero, and having to conceal who you are as a person because you are different, knowing that you can do good, but people will hate you for it. But Up is sad old guy ties balloons to his house and kidnaps an Asian child doesn't really get me. And also, if he's that old, how old is his nemesis? Oh, sorry, it's got me hung up on it. But his nemesis has to be like 100 at least, and he's that mobile.
Well, yeah, because he's a child at the beginning of the film, and his hero is like
and
an
that guy's
adult
like 40.
Yeah, he's not exactly. Yeah, he's an adult. Yeah, no, I mean I do like Up, but I definitely think it's one of Pixar's most overrated films because yeah, I think Up is over. I would argue it is more overrated because people consider it like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Up would be so much better if it was one of the Pixar shorts, like the chess game and stuff. Like yeah, Up would work way better, but it's not, so it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like it insists upon itself. But yeah, I don't know. We aren't speaking about Up. Well, we are talking on Finding Nemo. But yeah, you just got me there with my trigger word of like Up.
Yeah, we are not talking about Up. We're going to be talking about Finding Nemo. So I rewatched it, the first one, earlier today. I mean, opening scene is just like
gut wrenching, right?
Goes hard for a children's film, essentially for a Pixar film. It is a brutal opening.
Yeah, and it's such like a gut wrenching, like the amount they lost and the amount was it Marlin?
I'm
trying to actually think of
because he's a fish.
Marlin,
Get it?
Funny name for a clownfish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I truly do think, and obviously, yeah, it tries to not get you. And look, we can actually bring in the Up argument of you don't have enough time to get attached to the character. But I'm not sad that the mum had died. I purely feel guttural in the sense for Marlin and Nemo and his clear struggle so many years later. Like but the fact that he doesn't just sit and rot in his house or his anemone. But they truly do add. But like her loss, you can see clearly impacts both of the core characters of the film. And then like we get the funny, goofy, sort of mentally slow but loving-hearted side best friend character that gets added into Pixar films at this time. Is the same thing with Maida from Cars. It's the same shit. It's just like they end up becoming the entire sequel and ruining it. But anyway, I truly do, and that's the same with Dory. But I truly do think that like Nemo and Marlin as characters represent both parents and children watching the film, and I think that's your audience, right? As Pixar, you're not just trying to appease children, and that's what they used to get back then. Is they know, obviously, yes, this is gonna, and I hate using the word kids movie, but this is going to be a film directed towards children. It's about talking fish. If you're a mother, father, a parent at all watching one of these films along with your kids, you're going to connect to the main character a hell of a lot more, and little kids are going to be Nemo that want to go swim off the deep end straight away, and that's just the way it is. And I think that's textbook writing in the sense where it's like, okay, you've nailed your audience within the first 5 minutes of the film, struggling to get your kid ready for his first day of school, making sure they're okay. That's a parent's experience. Little kids don't like when you're a little kid, you don't understand that. You're Nemo complaining and just want to go and you're excited. That's so important. That's so crucial. But they really, I think they hit the head on the nail with that. And I'm just more so saying that to cover up the fact that the similar sort of thing is my problem with another Pixar film, but the problem is that they don't execute it nearly as well as they do with Finding Nemo.
I think Pixar, again, they've sort of lost how to make films for everyone, and they sort of do like the Cars films. I think are sort of more squarely aimed at children, like the Cars films specifically.
How dare you? Well, essentially, I mean, it's... But I think that's where Pixar's lost its way. And I know you're just sort of saying it as a positive, but Pixar, if you look at their stories that have always done well, it's been because they're resonating with both a younger audience and an adult audience. So adults could see their kids. That's sort of what it was. Nowadays... They're trying to aim at this really awkward preteen sort of scope that like both adults and kids don't quite get. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of aimed almost at this audience that doesn't care. And that's the issue is adults, like the adults' parents or just otherwise going to go see an animated film. Even if it is aimed at kids and you don't have a kid and you're not going to relate to that parent side of the aspect, it's going to resonate this feeling of, you know, the rose-colored glasses and the nostalgia you look back on from when you were a happy, a happy kid where you didn't have this sort of overbearing responsibility. Pixar, especially early Pixar, had this really focused on everybody, inclusivity, and family. This idea of family. Every Pixar film you look at back then is either about finding family or keeping family or being with family. And lately it's just like, even Coco, which is a modern-ish, like 2014?
2017, maybe? I think it was.
Oh, well, even then. Modern-ish, almost 10 years old, but 8 years old, but I consider it modern Pixar. It's a phenomenal story about not only a young kid, but about family, like about identity and about who you are. I'll be completely frank. Past Coco, I haven't gone to watch a lot of Pixar. I watched Lightyear, and that was all right. But like, other than that, I do think it's not without its faults. But if we're getting into not only the opening 5 minutes, but the way, just the sort of world it builds. The hype as a young kid and hearing Australia mentioned from something that wasn't Red Dog was huge. Like Sydney, I know that place. I've been there. Like that was big. It filled you with this sense of like, oh my God, they know. Because like growing up, unless you're watching, you know, Koshi and like you're kind of just consumed by American or British media. Whether kids shows, a lot of kids shows were either American, English, or with the exclusion of Total Drama Action Island, which was Canadian. Finding Nemo, I think, resonates with a lot of people close to home here as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, it's pretty accurate to, like, I mean, I've never been, but it's like, the characters, like, actually sound Australian. They're not doing, like, it's not the typical accent that like a shitty stage actor would do. You know, like it's like
and yeah, that's a tick in Finding Nemo's box and sort of a negative in Finding Dory. Like you're telling me you swam to fucking San Francisco.
But here at the cast. Yeah, I've got the cast list up now, so I can remember. But yeah, Albert Brooks as Marlin, great voice. I think he works. He's given a very good performance here. And then there's Ellen, who don't like
Ellen fucking degenerate.
Alexander Gould, he is Nemo. I think he was like a child. So fair enough. He did
Willem
pretty
Dafoe?
good for. Yes, Willem Dafoe as Gil. I love Willem Dafoe. I think he's a fantastic actor. He's one of those actors where I like seeing him in things, even if it's not like a big.
Like thinking about it now makes a lot of sense, but in my head I'm like, because as a little kid, I knew Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, right? That's like my head canon.
Yeah.
Never clicked that he was
fantastic
Gil.
In that film, yeah. Got Alison Janney as Peach, the starfish. Stephen Root. I had no idea Stephen Root was in this, but he's as Bubbles, who is the fish that freaks out every time Bubbles come out of the treasure chest, which I think that's fun. I'm just looking at the names I recognize here. Andrew Stanton, who was the director, was his Crush, the sea turtle. Because for some reason Pixar really likes having their directors voice characters. I think it's Pete Docter.
But
I think it's is it Brad? Yeah, Brad Bird voices Edna Mode in The Incredibles, I believe.
Yeah, he does.
And then I don't remember. It's in Monsters. I don't think it's the director. It's someone who was on the crew.
Yeah.
We've got Humphreys, who played Dame Edna, very famously. Bruce, which I do like the shark.
I love Bruce the shark.
I really like. Yeah, named after the shark.
It's such a great sequence of
Jaws.
Fish are friends, not food. And then I reference that all the time. That's good. I don't know. I just it's a lot of fun. The idea that they live in an abandoned ship.
Also, Eric Bana is one of those sharks.
He is.
It's weird how famous the sharks are in Finding Nemo because they're not really in it that much.
No, they became fan favorites though.
If you look at a lot of the Finding Nemo, Bruce the shark is 50% of the poster.
Why did I Google Finding Nemo and it comes up as Buscanda a Nemo? How did I change my Google to Spanish? Sorry. It says Buscanda and Nemo, brackets, Finding Nemo. I clicked cast and... Yeah, click cast. Look up in Google search. Does it say cast of Buscanda and Nemo?
So, wait, you search up Finding Nemo cast?
No, just search up Finding Nemo in Google.
Okay.
On
Google,
Chrome.
Yeah.
And then click, and then once it gives you the overview, click cast.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me...
Yeah.
Just go into computer, searching up Finding Nemo, and then cast.
Once you search up Finding Nemo, it'll say overview, and then you click the cast thing, and it changes it to Spanish. But yes, you are right. I just wanted to check whether or not Bruce is the main poster, and he is. And I do remember that scaring the living crap out of me.
Oh god, yeah, no. Sharks terrified me with I was.
Sorry, that's just a side thing. But Buscanda and Nemo 3D. What the fuck? Sorry.
What happened to your computer that has changed the fucking language on it?
It only does it with Finding Nemo. It's Buscanda and Nemo. No,
so if you search up a different
Finding Nemo, it's completely English.
That's so weird.
Oh, let's do that. Let's try Finding Dory.
Yeah, try different films.
Let's try Finding Dory.
Finding Nemo.
Well, I searched up Finding Dory and it just changed it to Finding Nemo 2.
I mean, it is Finding Nemo 2.
Is Finding Dory LGBTQ? What? Google why?
Yeah, what are we doing about? What are you talking about that? I don't Finding Dory.
Finding. There's a gay something. Yeah, well, no, it just changes it to Finding Nemo 2. It doesn't change the language, but it does change what I wrote, which is really infuriating. Yeah, but back to it. Yeah, the sharks are quite the polarizing characters for I think they're on screen for 8 minutes.
I feel like it is because they're only really in one major scene. Like they find
it's one sequence of
yeah, which is one of probably my favorite sequence in the film is them with the sharks. I think that's a really great sequence in the film. I would say
I like the crabs, but I I
the
like the shark. I like sort of I don't know. You and I think different because I think this film. I don't think it's the greatest Pixar film, but I definitely think it's in conversation. It's probably top 5.
Yeah, I personally would say it's not top 10 Pixar, so I definitely think it. And again, I do like it. I do think it's just sort of like in terms of Pixar films I would choose to rewatch. It's not like the first one I'd go to of like, oh yeah,
no, I agree. But at the same time, if I'm with my nephew and he goes want to watch a kids movie, he's like, "Can you put on Finding Nemo?" I'll be like, "Yeah, let's run it. I like Finding Nemo."
No, that's it. If someone like wants to watch it, I'll have it. I think it is a good film. It is a film I'm happy to watch, but it wouldn't be the first choice. But if I had, I've got an and if they wanted to watch it with me, then I would watch it. So it's like I have no qualms watching it. But if I was to put a Pixar film on as something to watch, it wouldn't be like the go-to for me. I also want to say it's a stunning looking film. It's one of Pixar's best looking.
It's gorgeous.
The ocean, like again, water in film just looks very good. It just looks good in 3D animation. It just looks good. Like Moana, which we've talked about before, the water in Moana is stunning to look at in Moana, and it looks this film is over 20 years old, and it still looks really really good.
But yeah, so like it holds up phenomenally.
It does. It still looks great. The people aren't that like they don't look bad for because Pixar they really struggled to make people. They struggled, but that's
a lot
why they
of
didn't make
animation
films about people
studios
for
did.
ages. Yes, that is true. That's why they didn't make people like Toy Story. There are people in Toy Story, but they weren't. Focus was, like
the
they did
first
toys
film,
or
Sid's a nightmare and to look at in the first film, and yeah, a lot of animation studios struggled for a really long time with people. And some animation studios just didn't even try to make them look like people at all. Illumination, I'm looking at you. But which now owns DreamWorks, so what am I on? But
I don't like this but look, like DreamWorks early films, they did Ants. They did do Prince of Egypt 2D animation, wasn't not the same thing.
Yeah, and like even the people like you could look at I guess
Shrek was
the best example of people.
The people don't look. They look pretty well in Shrek. They look pretty good in Shrek, I would say.
Yeah, the people that matter, the people that don't, they don't spend much time on. They always have covered up faces, or they're wearing a helmet, and like for good reason of that. Once you get to Shrek 2 and you got Prince Charming and all that sort of stuff, then yeah, but
yeah, exactly.
They're not great initially. Yeah. They're never great initially, and you can't expect sort of otherwise. And that's why
it's not
that's why Pixar focused on animal or monsters or whatever.
Toys.
Cars.
Or cars.
Cars.
Yeah. And also I can't Yeah. Also, it's fair to say that I'm not judging not being able to do humans because it was a completely new thing. Like Toy Story was innovative. They like what they were doing. They were the first to do it. So, we can't
they were animating these on and this is just to put into perspective. They made these films on computers with big white boxes and screens and big chunky keyboards and mouses that didn't even have scroll wheels. Like, what are we like?
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking
like, that's
this is Windows 98 XP level, not even XP, like 98 animation. Chill the fuck out. Mm-hmm. When people, because you'll see like a lot of critiques of it, and I just go, well, I think a lot of people aren't really giving that the sign of the times. And I really think that it almost worked out the best for Pixar in a way because they were able to go through this, again, golden era of telling these stories through like fish. Like through seafood. But yeah, and everything else in the film is just phenomenal. The colors of the reef and my favorite part, that not the jellyfish sequence, but when they're in the East Australian current or whatever it's called, that looks so good. Oh yeah, by the way, Crush. Yeah. Like, and to just mention him for a second, obviously, yeah, he also became a fan favorite character because he's just like a surfer stoner dude that everyone knows. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows Crush. But it's also the perfect antithesis to Marlon as a character. He's laid back. He lets his kid explore and be free without also... He's always making sure he's okay, but he has trust. And that's what's important. And it's a learning experience for Marlon seeing that. So he has importance being there, not just as comic relief, not just to be like a, guy that people go, oh, yeah, funny stoner dude, or oh, funny turtles. But it's like a real representation of a completely different style of parenting and how he learns from that as a character, which is important. It is so important. And I feel like people don't give that little sequence credit because, yes, it is comic relief and it is cute, but it's like vital to the characters, the main characters, at least, I think.
I mean, yeah, I do like. Also, just before we move on, I just remembered we nearly forgot, which are another fan favorite.
Mine. Yeah.
I remember they were like my favorite part of this film when I was a kid. Like,
really,
I don't know. Oh, I certainly liked them a lot. I definitely said mine a lot.
You ever throw a chip like off the table at a beach town? Like, that is exactly, they nailed seagulls. Just saying.
But yeah, I do like this film. I give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's just sort of, from an emotional standpoint, it's not a Pixar highlight for me. Even though I do like it, yes. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know why, but emotionally, like in terms of like Monsters Inc., the ending of Monsters Inc. gets me. That hits me hard. Toy Story 3 does. Coco does. But yeah, there's just something about Finding Nemo that I don't quite get emotionally.
I completely understand what you're saying. It doesn't have the gut punch sort of moment. It doesn't have that sort of that that either hurts or that's like beautiful to see. But I think it's just I think more so it doesn't need it. At least when I'm watching it, because I'm watching it like I think the entire story is more grounded. I know, again, fish, it can only be so grounded as it is. It's more grounded in like a personal relationship than anything. It's more grounded in, a father sort of figuring out how to be a father when this woman was, this fish was his rock. And also, again, like most Pixar films to do with children, is dealing with identity as well. Like, you're a clownfish, so you must be funny. It's like having yes, people are just going to assume things because of the way you are. You got to not get mad at that, or you got to not feel pressure from that. You just sort of got to, I don't know, live with it and be able to joke about it, because it's important to be able to laugh at yourself. And I think it sort of says a bit of that as well. I think it's a far more adult story than a lot of people give it credit for. And again, I hold it in quite a high regard just because of my, I don't know, affection towards it. I grew up with it, and that was a big thing. It was also just felt closer to home for me as an individual growing up in Australia, but also growing up as like a kid who wanted to do a bunch of shit like all the time. All kids did. So like, I think, I don't know. It is quite a good, not as it just like appealing because of the colors, but it's, I don't know, it has a good message, which I feel like Pixar films nowadays have kind of lost. But I'll give it an 8.5 because it's not without its faults. I think that
I could feel you. You were about to say a 9, weren't you? You were like ice.
I was.
You were
I said, cusp. Yeah. I was going to say 9, and then I just sort of, I thought, well, I haven't really thought about what like you can't spend the entire time talking about how much you love something without also mentioning why people would find fault with it. I think the pacing gets a little bit lost towards certain sequences. The fish doing the arrows, like the school of fish doing the arrow, that bit drags on a little bit longer than it's worth, I think. And when you think of a film, especially even if you've recently watched it or not, you have this sort of idea of the highlights in mind, like again the shark sequence and the turtles and I love the pelican that's friends with all the fish. I also love the environment of the fish tank in the dentist's office. I think it's like tells a really good story about like it's almost like a Prison Break movie, like captivity, but also strength and community at the same time. And finding sort of a home away from home with community and people that you wouldn't expect. And yeah, the amount of times in my life I have, whether consciously or not, have just sort of gone, shark bait, hoo hoo ha. Like that's hilarious. I love that bit. But also, there are bits again. The sequence after like he thinks Nemo's been flushed down the toilet or something, towards the back end of the film also drags quite a bit. And then they meet up in sort of a way that like it's like it felt like there should have been not a gut punch, but like a more like the movie is Finding Nemo, and then they just sort of stumble across each other. It's not really like it's not really. I don't know. It's not satisfying in the way that I think it should be. It's nice. It is a nice moment, but I feel like I don't know. It's not as satisfying as it could have been, and those are really my only negatives. So I give it an 8.5.
I mean, fair enough. It is a very well. I get that. Also, just quickly, there's that. Just before we move on, that little girl, fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah,
genuinely one of the most annoying I've ever seen. Just fucking murdering fish because she's an idiot.
That's also That also is a fucking hilarious moment. Where like if I'm at my friend's house or if he's sitting in a car, anytime I'm looking at my friend through a window, I will tap on the window and go, fishy, 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 wake up, fishy, fishy. Like, I don't know. I won't always do that, but like if I can, like, it's like, I don't know. It's one of those quotable moments that you don't really like quote me something. I've not had one quotable moment from a recent Pixar film, one that I've actually seen.
It also uses music from Psycho when we first meet her. Like the door opens and it's the scene from the shower. From the shower, seems like which is an interesting choice, but
it's kind of terrifying. It's kind of a horror movie.
Then we move on to Finding Dory. I don't have as much to say on this one. I will be honest.
I don't have anything nice really to say. I like the cast, but.
It's that thing Pixar did where they didn't make a sequel like Incredibles. It took them 14 years to make a sequel.
Took them a little while to do Monsters University, but
Monsters University, like Toy Story, they got a Toy Story 2 sequel 4 years after the first one, and then they waited like 10 years to make the third one, which was good. I actually think that was a good decision on the toy.
But this is just me personally. The Incredibles, yes, did need a sequel because you cannot leave a bunch of kids leaving a movie theater with "I am the fucking exterminator," like
Underminer.
Underminer. Yeah, he's the which is a hilarious name. Like, yeah, you at least even attempted to build on a sequel, but Finding Nemo really didn't need one. And not about Dory. I mean, you'd think they'd learnt from the Cars series of like, okay, when we make our sequel about that one goofy character that people kind of liked and base it entirely all about them in some weird plot with a bunch of new characters voiced by famous people that people don't really care about. It flopped. Like, it doesn't flop. Kids still went and watched it because it's a recognizable IP, but it's not regarded as a decent film. Yeah, you made money, but it's a stain on your body of work, on the world that you've built. You'd think at least creatively you would steer clear from that direction of a sequel, but I guess whatever Disney wants, please the overlords, then it'll all be okay.
They made $1 billion out of this sequel. Like it's
insane.
not like I mean, Incredibles 2 also made $1 billion. Like, I mean, I Incredibles 2 is like not half bad. Like, it's a massive letdown, but it's not like completely. It's not like a
It's
pointless film. Like,
Incredibles
I think
1, but flipped.
yeah, I mean, I don't hate Finding Dory. It's just a very pointless film that didn't even made. It's like what it doesn't feel like there was like what why did you feel the need to make this? Like it doesn't have anything. There's just nothing to it where I was what I wasn't sat there watching it being like, this is why they came back to make this. Like it doesn't feel like there was that shin behind it to justify making it real. I don't think, which is
it's also got like half the
bit.
fucking cast of Modern Family in it, but like
I was just looking at the cast of this film. You've got Elle in there. You've got Ty Burrell. You've got like there's just so many people in here. There's fucking Caitlin Olsen is in this. I didn't know Caitlin Olsen was in this.
Bill Hader, Sigourney Weaver.
Bill Hader. Sigourney Weaver as herself, which is such a bizarre like celebrity cameo. Yeah. Idris Elba, Dominic West, Eugene Levy, Diane Keaton. These I don't understand. Plus they have to get in all the characters from the original, like there's Willem, like Gil and Pete, like all the people from the original film are in, which is just such a. I don't like that. I don't think there was a need to bring those characters back because they didn't have to be in the film. Like that's just it's. Yeah,
or if they are, make it about them. Like, don't make it about Dory. Make it
don't have it be. It's like that
from the world of Finding Nemo, like, and make it about like Gil's childhood or something. I don't know.
It's like that terrible scene in Rogue One where there's those guys that like Obi-Wan like has a confrontation with in A New Hope when they're on that like the Disney Star Wars films with the terrible cameo.
Yeah, to like sort of tie it into the fucking bit of fanfare.
Yeah, it's like what is like again I don't dislike this film. I think there's emotional like that bit at the end where Dory's parents like had a trail of like shells, so she would like find her way back home. I thought that was a really great like, and as an idea, I think that's a great moment.
It's a nice in a vacuum, in a fishbowl, but like pun intended. But like
but it as an overall film, it doesn't work.
So you're telling me they like swam pretty quickly to San Diego, and I'm not trying to be that person that like nitpicks the legitimacy of films, considering it's like, yes, it's an animated film and everything like that, but it's like, San Francisco, but it's like, come on, the whole bit with the whales just seems like to sell plushies. Yeah. The octopus, pretty much as soon as everything, I just don't. As soon as they get to like the SeaWorld or whatever it is, and everything they do once they're there just sort of feels like fucking nothing. There is no way that a fish, octopus, or any marine animal is controlling a motor vehicle. And yet somehow they managed to flip a fucking truck. And I get, again, it's like a movie for children or whatever. And it's like, but like Finding Nemo was inherently somehow managed to be more grounded when it's a film about fish. Like, I don't know how you ruin... you've got so much creative liberty to tell, like, a really compelling story, even about Finding Dory, giving her backstory. Maybe it's something like not her finding her parents. Maybe it's something about her finding herself. And she gets her, self lost. And that's where it's going. But, like, or even if it is about her finding her parents... Don't do it to sell a bunch of plushies. Like it frustrates me because you've been gifted this like the writers or whatever. You've been gifted with this incredibly compelling foundation to build something off of if you choose to, which I don't think they should have. But you could have done something either really special or at least better. Again, it's not to say that there are sequences that aren't funny. I feel like they're definitely. I like the seals. I feel like missed opportunity to have one of them voiced by. I wish one of them was voiced by a seal. That would have been really funny, but like maybe he wasn't available. But or like had a scar or something. It was just disappointing. And I think that's nothing lands like it really should or could. Feels like there was a lot of potential of what one of these could have been.
Yeah.
More or less just feels like, oh, we just got a bunch of celebrities, people because Modern Family, and I like Modern Family, but won like all the Emmys ever. Sigourney Weaver. And it's like, all right, here's a movie. You like Dory, right? You like Ellen DeGeneres. What if her parents are missing? What if her parents lost her and she went missing from her parents because she got short-term memory and her parents are in San Francisco and that's how we get all these cute little narwhals and like beluga whales or whatever and we make like $1 billion. And it's like, okay, and what about an octopus that because we need something that's able to like traverse land, I guess, because how else are they going to get from A to B? And it just none of it feels coherent. I don't know. It feels like a bunch of writers did a bunch of cocaine and came up with it, and it's like good for them. But like, yeah.
Looking here, Finding Dory was the third highest grossing film of 2016.
What was the 1 and 2?
2 was Rogue One.
So I know what
the top
which is
5.
Fair. It's a huge IP, but
yeah. So the top 5 Disney. This top 5, they're all Disney films. So number 5
awesome.
was The Jungle Book.
I love. Yep.
Zootopia was number 4. Zootopia.
Yep.
Number 3, Finding Dory. Number 2, Rogue One. And number 1,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Captain America Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah. That is
Civil
the
War.
top 5.
All right, I get Captain America Civil War, and I actually think it's justified at 1, given that it's like inherently integral to the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like it is basically an Avengers movie. Spider-Man was in it. It was a huge deal. Like it was a huge deal.
Panther was introduced in it as well, who was like, that was a big thing as well, Black Panther being in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I get that. Zootopia deserves a top 5 spot. That's a really great original story. Rogue One, I really liked Rogue One for what it was. Built off a massive IP. Pretty much just Star Wars Episode 3.5. It built huge foundations of character like Andor and for Disney and all that sort of stuff. And that sucks. That was like the worst time when just like the entire cinematic industry was just dominated by IPs. It's like it didn't matter what
I'm just
artistry you had.
The top 10, because number 6 was The Secret Life of Pets, which I've never seen, but I can believe it's bad. Number
Kevin
7
Hart
was Batman v Superman, another IP, but again, it's Batman vs Superman, so I can understand why it was so did well. Number 8, Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is interesting to look back on now because of the seeing
that IP
where
died out.
It died out. And not unjustifiably.
It literally tripped on itself. Like it just got confused about what it was.
Number 9 was Deadpool, which is really impressive because it's not like it was
massive IP.
It was an R-rated film.
Following.
Yeah, it was an R-rated film. Yeah. And number 10 was Suicide Squad, another superhero film, but a very shit one as well.
I struggle to say a lot of things positive about Finding Dory, especially looking back at a hindsight 2020. But when was the last time you genuinely thought about I don't know. I just I would love to see some sort of stat of like amount of streams it's had on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's definitely not
Because
going
I
to be
think
up
maybe
there.
like 6 total. Like the amount of people that are watching this film again, unless you just had a kid and they fell in love with it like they do Finding Nemo. But I guarantee that kid's like 10 now and probably thinks it's shit.
Yeah.
But would probably still get more joy out of watching Finding Nemo because it's a grounded story that a child can relate to. Not to say, look, the animators did a really great job. It looks good. But like kind of, there are bits where I'm like, you could have made it look more like Finding Nemo.
I mean, I don't have much to say on it, really.
Yeah, it falls flat on its face on its attempt to. I don't really know what it's attempting to say. What as a kid? What is the message that this film has? What artistic? Here's a great question, and is one of the. It is probably the first question you ask when you think of writing literally anything ever. And that is why. Because you do your Harry and your 5 wives. Your who, what, when, where, why, and how. But why? If someone could answer the why besides making $1 billion, which I don't think is a good enough reason creatively. Yes, $1 billion is great for everyone who gets a share of it. Absolutely. And people got paid, and the artist did a really great job, and they deserve that absolutely. But creatively, from a writer's standpoint, from a director's standpoint, from a filmmaker's standpoint, if you take monetary gain aside, why should this? Why? What does it say? Who's it for?
That's what I find with some films I watch. I'm like, why was this made? Like, the point in it is, I'm just like, there is no point to this film, and some people think that's films don't need to know why they exist or anything. I firmly disagree with that. I think if you're gonna make a film,
no, they absolutely should.
Need that. I shouldn't be sad. Why am I watching this? I shouldn't be sit there being like, yeah, why, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. And if the justification is purely, and I'm saying creatively, obviously money is always going to be the overall justification. Like in at least with Disney and these just absolute media mega giants, it's going to be, if it doesn't make us money, we're not doing it. But and largely Hollywood as a whole. But even if the pure point of existence is to be entertaining to an audience, that's okay, as long as it's entertaining. But this isn't. This is to sell plushies. It's Dory. But like, I rewatched it for this podcast, mate. I was so bored, and I started like scrolling on my phone, and had to like stop and go back in the film, and be like, oh yeah, that's right. They're talking about like the amount of rubbish in the ocean. Like, yes, there is garbage in the ocean. Yes, we pollute the earth. It is something that sucks so much. It's just about humans and the mark that we leave. But like, not every kid wants to have to fucking deal with that when they're getting picked on by school and they want to hear a message. Even if the message is take better care of the environment, there are better ways you can go about that, e.g. WALL-E.
Yes, yeah. If you're gonna make that kind of film, watch WALL-E, yeah.
Because don't tiptoe around it. Make it the purpose. And that's the point, is WALL-E doesn't tiptoe around it. Humans left the Earth because we ruined it. And we became these fat, lazy slobs who exist in, recliners permanently and never walk. And Finding Dory is about a story of like, if you break it down, it's bare bones of what you could say the overall sort of story is. The girl struggles with memory loss, looking for her parents to sort of figure out who she is. Which, again, and I said it earlier, lends itself to such a creative liberty that they do nothing with and decide to flip a truck and put a little bit of rubbish in the ocean to say, like, yeah, we understand there's a lot of rubbish in the ocean, and like, we're going to make you guys feel bad about it for a minute. And then also all the plushies and drinks and everything you buy in this movie theater when you're watching it, and then every product you buy from us that we're going to promote the movie of will also end up there. Like,
I mean, I have no I don't really have anything else to say, honestly honest. I mean, I give it a 7, but like, it's very low, and I have no desire to watch it again.
So you gave it the same rating that you gave Finding Nemo?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I give it like a 5. I think it serves its purpose to distract the kids for an hour and a half.
I mean, yeah, I have no desire to watch it again, and I feel like if I did, it could definitely be 6 if I watched it again, because it's undeniably a pointless film.
I had a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
and like you could tell by my tone of sort of the way I was complaining about it.
Yeah.
But like it frustrates me because of what Finding Nemo to me is.
Yeah, no,
and I
get
think
that,
that's my biggest issue with it. If it had, if Finding Nemo didn't exist and this was a standalone movie, maybe it would be a higher rank. But it just, unfortunately, it has shoes to fill.
I get
it doesn't.
I think if I were a Finding Nemo fan, I would probably dislike this film more. But I had no qualms watching it, and it's fine. But yeah, it's fairly whatever. And yeah, we're tying this into the release of Elio, which will be out soon in a couple weeks. I haven't seen any of the trailers. I haven't really seen much on it, but I will be seeing it because... Sorry, my voice just cracked there really badly. I will see it, of course. I'll probably pair it with... because it's coming out the same day as 28 Years Later, which might do an episode tying into that soonish.
Yeah.
Potentially. But I do think... I'm very out of the loop of mate. Like, I'll see stuff they make, obviously, but I haven't been blown away by them in a long, long time. So, yeah.
You know, I agree. I want something decent. I want something that I just sort of I can walk away from thinking either that made me laugh or that made me... I don't know. I know they're not for me, but like just a good story that something that I want to be able to take my niece and nephew to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, do you have any sort of final things you want to say? Or yeah, also, anyway, thank you, Harry, for joining me for this week's episode.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed. Getting episode 80, 180, nearly episode 190, I think. I don't remember what episode it is. 180. So, yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed listening to this week's episode. And again, thank you, Harry, for joining me for this week.
Again, thank you for having me.
And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.